It's one thing to be a YouTube creator, it's another thing to be an African YouTube creator, and it's yet another thing to be an African YouTube creator living and working in an African country. Nobody told me when I first got into YouTube that the stakes are completely different if you're going to be an African living in Africa compared to creators living outside of Africa. So whether the creators that live outside of Africa are Africans or they're from other nationalities, they experience an entirely different journey compared to those of us who live and work here. I'm going to speak strictly in the sense of growing on YouTube, enjoying the benefits of being a creator on YouTube. It's completely different here, and those of us who are creators in Africa, living in Africa, can relate and know what I am talking about. For context, I started posting videos on YouTube in October of 2018. I have my main YouTube channel that has over 100,000 subscribers, and we have done over 20 million views on that channel and done tens of thousands of dollars in revenue. The main niche of that channel is hair care, so hairstyling, DIY hair care, hair education, everything hair. So I want you to note the niche. That's what I have been posting about ever since I got into YouTube in 2018 for that channel. And I've not really diverted from posting about that on the main channel. In this video, I'm going to be sharing 15 solid lessons that I wish I knew when I started YouTube or before I started YouTube that would have completely changed the trajectory of my journey as a YouTube creator, would have completely made me grow way faster, would have made me better as a creator, and would have literally changed the game for me. Do you know that for the first 6 years, I was completely freestyling YouTube? I was treating it as a side hustle. Meanwhile, I have been monetized since 2020 and have been earning money from AdSense, let's say AdSense, every single month. So if I was more serious about YouTube, not only would I have earned way more money, but I would have also seen way more growth in terms of views, in terms of watch time, in terms of video performance in general. The very first lesson is that nobody told me that where my audience lived would determine how much I earned from each video in terms of CPM, cost per mille, RPM. So in terms of how much advertisers pay and how much YouTube then pays me. My highest viewed video on this platform, I'm going to continue to say it, is one of my lowest earning videos. My highest viewed long form video has over 1 million views, but I have videos on this channel that have done around 100,000 views that have made me way more money than that video with more than 1 million views. That is the first thing you need to know. Where your audience is watching your content from is going to largely determine how much money you make from that video. Let me know if you guys want me to break down how the money thing works, how CPM works, how RPM works for we African creators, and I will do that in a separate video. So nobody told me that. The second lesson I learned is that I did not study YouTube as a platform for the first 6 years. It wasn't until 2025 that I decided to be more intentional about studying YouTube, about studying videos, about studying thumbnails, about studying titles, about studying average view duration, audience retention, about studying things in my studio that I paid zero attention to in the past. When I started to be more intentional about the studies, I saw way more growth overall in 2025 alone than I had seen in the first 6 years. And I only started to be more intentional about the studies in around March, April of 2025. So we already had the first few months of 2025 go by, and then I decided to be more intentional. The one step that I took was to dedicate the first few, not the first few hours, but about 1, 2, 3, 4 hours of my mornings to studying YouTube intentionally. Also, it's a story for a completely different video. Let me know if you want that and I will talk about it more. The next lesson is that I was uploading videos without thinking about what people were searching for. When I got into posting videos on YouTube, the main goal of my channel and the way that I uploaded my videos was by making responses to the questions that I was asked on platforms like Facebook. I used to get a lot of engagement on my hair posts on Facebook, and so instead of repeating the same answers to the questions on this post, I decided, you know what, why don't I make a video about these things and then post it on YouTube so that the video will be lengthier, and then I can refer people from my other platforms to YouTube to watch and understand. That was the entire premise. And I did this for a very long time. So when my audience started to request for more things, when YouTube was making other things to trend, I wasn't really paying attention to these things. And instead, I was just posting based on what I wanted to post from what people were asking me from the outside. You shouldn't do that. You should pay attention to what people here want to see. The next lesson, I was obsessed with view count on YouTube. Meanwhile, view count is literally just one metric, and the least important metric, I always say, you should pay more attention to your average view duration, which is how long people watch each of your videos for. So if you have a video that's, let's say, a minute, you will get completely different results if people watch that 1 minute video in its entirety, compared that if a greater percentage of people watch the entire 1 minute of the video, compared to if a greater percentage watch, let's say, 10 seconds or 20 seconds of the video. Also an entirely different topic for an entirely different video. So you can see now that each of these lessons can literally be spoken about in an entirely different video, and I'm definitely going to do that. I didn't pay any attention to my thumbnails. Thumbnails and titles work hand in hand when it comes to attracting people to your channel, attracting people to your videos. And if your thumbnails don't draw people in, if your titles don't draw people in, then they are most likely not going to click on your video. And if people don't click on your video, then YouTube is not going to recommend it to more people, and your channel is not going to grow exactly. These are the things that I was ignoring. The next lesson is I did not keep up with the changes on YouTube as a platform. YouTube has new changes every other month. One new thing is introduced, something is taken out, the platform is improving, the platform is updated every month or every other month. When I started posting on YouTube, I think we didn't exactly have community tab. But we didn't have shorts, and the demands were completely different compared to today. Also, in the first 6 years, I didn't pay attention to these things, not until 2025 that I decided to put my head down and see what was changing, so that even thumbnails change, titles change. The thumbnails that were relevant in 2018 are not the thumbnails that moved the fastest in 2026. And these are the kinds of things that you need to pay attention to if you want to grow and grow faster here on YouTube. Another lesson is that I prioritized posting more without exactly having a plan for growth. So my own thing was, I just wanted to push out as much content as I could, answer as many questions as I could, post as much as I wanted to post, without exactly having a strategy for quarterly growth, for biannual growth, for yearly growth. I was just freestyling the posting. The next lesson is that I did not study my competitors because I didn't want my content to look exactly like theirs. Now, this is it's not a big regret of mine, but it's one thing that really hindered my growth. When I first started, I didn't want my content to come out looking like somebody else's content. And because of that, I completely skipped over a lot of trending topics. I feel like this ties back into not uploading, keeping what people were searching for in mind. So because hair is the niche, but it doesn't matter how many people post about something in hair, you can always add your perspective to this or to whatever the topic is. And I completely ignored this, and because of that, I was just recycling the same content I was posting without necessarily having anything new to add. Next lesson, I didn't know the first thing about hooks. Hooks are the opening line or first 3 seconds, first 10 seconds, first 30 seconds of your video that make people keep on watching, that draws people in. So the goal of the hook is to stop people from scrolling and make them focus on you in particular as a creator and your video, instead of moving on to the next video and the next creator. When I first started posting, I literally just used to open my video anyhow, open it with anything, and just spend a lot of time before I got right into the point, which feeds into my next lesson, being that my intros were too long and unnecessary. I used to spend the first 1 minute just rambling and beating about the bush before I got to the main topic or the main points of the videos. And I had occasions where my viewers actually pointed this out. It was with intention, and by learning and studying that I was able to correct it and just get right into the topic. And now I don't even really do intros anymore. There is nothing saying it's Evie Ogban. I mean, you know it's me. You can see my name. Hello. So now I just get right into the video, and then as the video progresses, once I have gotten the hook out of the way, once I have talked about the topic to an extent, somewhere in the middle of the video, I now say my name. I may say my name. I may ask you subscribe. Make sure you subscribe. But I may just say some other things that let you know who I am, so on and so forth. The next lesson is that I didn't pay attention to titles. I think I've talked about that before, but yes, that's also the next lesson. So I avoided titles, I avoided thumbnails, I avoided hooks. These three things you need to pay attention to. I have had instances where a video was performing poorly, but once I tweaked the title, once I tweaked the thumbnail, the views picked up. Next lesson is I avoided YouTube Studio. I avoided YouTube Studio because it got to a point where I was heavily invested in the views, the money that I was making every single day. This is not exactly encouraging. And if you are just hyperfixated on views, on money, on how many subscribers you get in a day, you may ignore other things like watch time, which is way more important, your average view duration, which is way more important, and that is not good. The next lesson is I thought I needed to be big before I made money outside of YouTube. And my last lesson, the 15th lesson, is that I relied heavily on AdSense. These two go hand in hand. I relied heavily on AdSense. I didn't know that I could set up other avenues for earning money, such as digital products, such as affiliate links, having stores outside, such as selling products. I completely ignored these things and I only prioritized making money from AdSense, which is why I was heavily invested in how many views I was getting daily. One thing I always tell people is you have to decenter AdSense first. When you come into YouTube, knowing that you can make money in other ways outside of AdSense, it removes your attention from forcing yourself to post all manner of content with a desire to be monetized. So these are 15 solid lessons that I have learned that would have completely changed the game for me if I knew them before I started on YouTube. I hope you find this helpful. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you subscribe and also let me know if you have contributions. You can leave them in the comment section. You can let me know what other videos you would like me to touch on in the comment section. I'll see you in my next video.